Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Raw. Your host, Did You Hear, with you, and this program, as well as the main event, which is coming up right now, is brought to you by THQ. Now, up next, we'll feature, it's our title match. In fact, Chris Jericho, of all the championships he could choose to go after, he went after the television championship, and subsequently, his opponent is Mankind. And Mankind has been champion since, I forget when he won it, but it was at a house show. It was an untelevised show, but Mankind is the champion. And for that, what I'm trying to get at is, Chris Jericho, he chose the championship and his opponent, but it was Mankind who chose the matchup in which to defend the title, and he just had to choose the Hell in a Cell match. And I will tell you, and I'll be very frank with you, the Hell in a Cell favors Mankind exponentially, considering that he considers Hell in a Cell home. And if you're Chris Jericho, you have to be concerned about that. But nonetheless, Chris Jericho is going to go for it. But there's no doubt that, Chris Jericho is talented enough to go after it. We'll see if Chris Jericho can pull it out, because I know that Chris Jericho is going to give it everything he has against Mankind, and that's the only way you can beat him. I mean, not to say that Mankind can't be beat. I mean, he can be, but for Chris Jericho inside a Hell in a Cell, he's going to have to pull all the stops, and he has to hope that Mankind makes a mistake in order to win the match. And that's exactly what that's what he has to hope for. Let me just reposition myself here. I have a different chair I'm sitting on. I'm sitting on a stool. But otherwise, I'm fine. I'm fine. But that's what's at stake in this matchup. The television championship. So Chris Jericho is prepared, and I know Mankind is prepared. I know that Mankind is going to be a tough competitor, but we'll find out who's going to survive this match. A knee right to the head of Chris Jericho to begin the matchup. And if you're Chris Jericho, you would much rather have the match be contested in the ring than outside of it, because once you get outside of the ring next to the cage, that's where Mankind is going to destroy you, because this is, to him, this is home. But as long as Chris Jericho can keep it in the ring, he'll have a good chance of winning. Inverted atomic drop. And wait a minute, a single leg Boston Crab onto Mankind. Oh, but Mankind gets out of it. Oh, and a backbreaker onto Chris Jericho. Oh, come on, he's biting him! He's biting him! Well, then again, it is legal, so there are no disqualifications in a match like this. A scoop slam onto Chris Jericho. But even if Chris Jericho manages to keep the match in the ring, Mankind is no slouch as a wrestler, so he can wrestle, can Mankind, as demonstrated there. And then an armbar onto Mankind. And a neck breaker onto Mankind. Right now, Chris Jericho's doing exactly what he needs to do, and that's to keep it in the ring. Now, Chris Jericho has wrestled one match already, and that was the Battle Royal that we just had. So he's going to have to pace himself and not make a mistake against Mankind. An arm breaker on a Mankind. And then a shoulder arm breaker on a Mankind. A Northern Light suplex on a Mankind. A side headlock takedown on a Mankind. And a pinfall. Kick out at 1 by Mankind. But of course, Mankind is fresh. And fresh is defined as not having wrestled a match. And in comparison to your opponent, you are close to 100% than your opponent is. So that's what is defined as fresh in this case. Just wanted to put that out there, folks. Especially for all you newcomers out there, or anyone who never heard of that phrase before. A suplex on a Mankind. So right now it's a wrestling match, and that's exactly what not Mankind, Chris Jericho wants it to be. Not even a 1 count on Mankind. And a tie-up. And then a flying forearm onto Mankind. And then a kick right to the back of Mankind. And now, wait, what's he doing here? A power bomb. No, wait. Another one. And a third one. 3 consecutive power bombs. 1, 2. No, kick out by Mankind. If you're Chris Jericho, you're going to have to... Wait a minute. Is it going to get him? He's trying to flip him over. Okay, he's got it. He's got the walls of Jericho. He calls that modified Boston Crab the walls of Jericho, and Mankind is forced to tap out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the new television champion, Chris Jericho. So Chris Jericho is the new champion, and the fans may not like it, but I don't think Chris Jericho is going to care about that, because Chris Jericho is the new champion. I mean, Chris Jericho did what he had to do and what he needed to do, and that was keep it in the ring, because had it been spilled onto the outside, then it would have favored Mankind, being that, you know, he considers Hell in a Cell his home, but Chris Jericho, he kept it in the ring, and for that, he is the new television champion. But folks, stay tuned next time for our next show. Until then, this is your host, Ju, signing off, saying goodbye, and have a good evening, everybody.